My dad called me the biggest disappointment at Easter brunch. So I left with nothing and built a $90 million company he just applied to clean. Please take a second to support our channel, hit subscribe and drop a comment saying where you're watching from. You're part of this story too. Easter Sunday 2018. I remember the exact moment my life fractured into before and after. The smell of honey-glazed ham filled my parents' dining room in Atlanta while I sat there 23 years old, trying to explain why I'd left my corporate banking job. My father, Milton Green, set down his wine glass with that deliberate slowness that meant a storm was coming. My mother, Diane, clutched her pearls, literally. My older sister Kennedy smirked from across the table, her MBA from Harvard practically glowing like a halo above her perfect blowout. So let me understand this correctly, Imani, Dad said, his voice cutting through the chatter of my aunts and uncles. You threw away a $60,000 salary at Wells Fargo to clean houses? The table went silent. 15 pairs of eyes turned toward me. I felt my face burning. I started a cleaning company, Dad. There's a difference. I saw an opportunity in eco-friendly. He laughed. Actually laughed. Kennedy's closing million-dollar deals at Goldman Sachs and you're scrubbing toilets. Do you understand how this makes me look at the club? My throat tightened, but I pushed forward. I have a business plan. 5 corporate clients already signed and I'm projecting. You're projecting embarrassment, he interrupted. He stood up, his 6'3" frame towering over the table. Then he said it. The words that would echo in my head for 7 years. You are, without question, the biggest disappointment of my life. The room gasped. Mom touched his arm. Milton, please. But he wasn't finished. I paid for Spellman. For years. $60,000 a year. For this. I don't remember standing up. I don't remember grabbing my purse or walking to the door. What I remember is Kennedy's voice following me. Oh, come on, Imani. He's just being honest. Maybe if you actually listen to advice instead of thinking you're some entrepreneur genius. I turned around in the doorway. My whole family was staring. My grandmother, my 3 uncles, 2 aunts, my cousins. All watching my humiliation like it was dinner theater. Fuck this, I whispered. Then louder, fuck all of this. Grandma Margaret gasped. Dad's face went purple. Get out of my house. Gladly. I walked out into the Atlanta heat, my Easter dress sticking to my back, mascara running down my face. I sat in my 2008 Honda Civic, the one Dad called an embarrassment, in the driveway, and I made a promise. A vow so deep it felt like carving words into stone. I would never speak to them again until I proved every single one of them wrong. My phone buzzed immediately. Kennedy, dramatic much? He's right though. Come back and apologize. Delete. Mom, sweetheart, you know how your father gets. Just say you're sorry. Delete. Even my Aunt Carol, this is why you need a man to guide you. Pride goes before a fall. Delete. 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 I drove to my studio apartment in East Point, sat on my futon and opened my laptop. My business bank account showed $3,847. My personal account showed $892. My pride? Somehow that was still intact. Barely. But intact. Monday morning, 5:47 a.m. My alarm screamed and I dragged myself from the futon that doubled as my bed and my office couch. I had 4 houses to clean that day and my body already ached from Saturday's work. But I'd made that promise. Every toilet I scrubbed, every floor I mopped, every window I squeegeed until it gleamed. It was all ammunition. My first client was Mrs. Patterson, a white woman in Buckhead who'd hired me through a Facebook ad. Oh, good you're here, she said, not looking up from her phone. The master bathroom is disgusting. My son had friends over. The bathroom looked like a crime scene. But I cleaned it. I cleaned it until it sparkled. By client 3 my knees were screaming. By client 4 I was fantasizing about ibuprofen. But I was also planning. Every drive between houses I was cold calling property management companies. Hi, my name is Imani Green and I run EcoClean Solutions. We specialize in green cleaning products for commercial spaces. 97 calls that week. 97 rejections. But on call 98 something shifted. Actually, the woman on the phone said, "We just fired our current service. They used chemicals that triggered our tenants' asthma. Can you come by tomorrow?" That contract was worth $4,200 a month. One apartment complex. 12 units. I hired my first employee, Shanice, a single mom from my neighborhood who needed flexible hours. Then another. Then 3 more. By December 2018, 8 months after that Easter from hell, I had 14 employees and $47,000 in monthly revenue. I still lived in that studio apartment. Still drove that Civic. But I was building something. Christmas came and went. My phone stayed silent. Good. I wanted it that way. March 2019. Exactly 1 year after Easter. I was sitting in the lobby of the Piedmont building, wearing a thrift store blazer and my most confident smile, waiting to pitch to the property manager of Atlanta's third largest commercial real estate firm. My hands were shaking. This contract would be worth $32,000 monthly. It would change everything. Miss Green. The receptionist gestured me forward. "Mr. Richardson will see you now." Thomas Richardson was 50-something, white, expensive suit. He looked at me like I was there to clean his office, not pitch to him. "You're young," he said. Not a question. A judgment. "I'm 24, sir. But my company has maintained a 98% client retention rate over the past year, and we've reduced chemical usage by 80% compared to traditional services. Here's our portfolio." I slid the folder across his massive desk. He didn't open it. "I'll be frank, Ms. Green. We've used Patterson Commercial Cleaning for 15 years. Why should I risk switching to, what was it? EcoClean." This was the moment. I could feel it. Because Patterson uses chemicals banned in 12 states. Because 3 of your tenants filed complaints last month about respiratory issues. Because I'm hungry enough to give you service they stopped caring about a decade ago. His eyebrow raised. "You did your homework." "I do more than homework, Mr. Richardson. I build relationships." Silence. Then, 1 building. 3-month trial. "Screw it up and we're done." I shook his hand, walked calmly to my car and screamed. Actually screamed with joy. Then I called Shanice. "We got it. Call everyone. We're going out for wings tonight." That night, surrounded by my small team at JR Crickets, I felt something I hadn't felt since Easter 2018. Pride. Real, earned, untarnished pride. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I ignored it. Later, checking voicemail. "Imani, it's your mother. Your father wants to talk. Please call." Delete. June 2019. Business was exploding. We'd added 4 more commercial clients and I'd just signed a lease on a small office in College Park. Nothing fancy, just 3 rooms and a bathroom, but it was mine. I was on the floor assembling IKEA furniture when my phone rang. Kennedy. I stared at her name on my screen. 15 months of silence. My finger hovered over decline, but curiosity won. "What do you want?" "Hello to you too," she said, that condescending tone I knew so well. "I'm calling because Mom's worried about you. Mom has my number." "Don't be childish, Imani. Look, Dad overreacted at Easter. We all know that. But this silent treatment is ridiculous. We're family." I sat back against the wall, surrounded by half-built furniture. Did he apologize? Silence. Did he, Kennedy? You know how Dad is. He's not going to grovel. But he's willing to let you come to his birthday party next month if you... What? Apologize for leaving? Apologize for building a business. Apologize for cursing in front of Grandma Margaret. For making a scene. For being so damn stubborn. There was. The real Kennedy. Always Dad's lieutenant. I'm hanging up now. Wait. Jesus, Imani. Fine. I'll tell you the real reason I called. I heard you're doing well. The cleaning thing. The way she said cleaning thing made my jaw clench. It's called EcoClean Solutions. We're on track to hit $1 million in annual revenue this year. Another silence. Then, good for you. Seriously. Maybe I was wrong. But something in her voice felt off. Like oil on water. Pretty on the surface but wrong underneath. By December 2019, we'd hit $1.2 million in revenue. 23 employees. Contracts with 8 major commercial properties. I'd moved into an actual one-bedroom apartment. Nothing fancy, but I had a separate bedroom and living room. Progress. I was finally sleeping on a real bed instead of a futon. Small victories. But I wasn't satisfied. I wanted more. Not for greed, for proof. I started researching franchise models. If I could package EcoClean systems, training, and green products, I could scale beyond Atlanta. Shanice, now my operations manager, thought I was crazy. Girl, we're barely keeping up with current demand. You want to open in other cities. We were in my office. I actually had an office now with a desk and everything, going over expansion plans. Not open. Franchise. We train other people to run EcoClean in their cities. They pay us royalties. That sounds complicated. Everything worthwhile is complicated. My phone rang. She'd been calling monthly since June. I never answered. But this time the voicemail made me pause. Imani, it's your mother. It's Christmas next week and your grandmother asked about you. She's not doing well, honey. She's 87 and her heart. Could you please just come for Christmas Eve? Your father won't even be there. He has a golf tournament in Florida. I stared at my phone. Grandma Margaret. She'd always been different from the others. She'd hugged me when I left on Easter, whispered, "Go prove 'em wrong, baby," in my ear. I called back. Mom answered on the first ring. Imani. I'll come for Grandma. 2 hours. That's it. Oh, sweetheart, thank you. Kennedy will be so happy. Kennedy will be there. Well, yes, it's Christmas. 2 hours, Mom. Only for Grandma. I hung up before she could respond. What the hell was I doing? Christmas Eve 2019. I pulled up to my parents' house in Cascade Heights, my stomach in knots. Same house, same manicured lawn, same feeling of never being enough. But I'd promised Grandma. I knocked instead of using my old key. Mom opened the door, eyes already tearing up. Oh, Imani, you look so thin. Are you eating? I'm fine, Mom. Where's Grandma? The house was decorated like a magazine spread. Expensive. Perfect. Suffocating. I found Grandma Margaret in the den, wrapped in blankets despite the Georgia winter being mild. Her face lit up when she saw me. There's my entrepreneur, she said, arms open. I hugged her and she felt smaller than I remembered. Fragile. Tell me everything, baby. I heard you're doing big things. For 30 minutes I sat with her, describing the business, the contracts, the expansion plans. She held my hand and smiled. Your grandfather started with nothing too. Sold vegetables from a cart. Built 3 grocery stores by the time he passed. You got his spirit. Then Kennedy walked in. She looked different. Thinner. Tired. Dark circles under her eyes despite professional makeup. Well, the prodigal daughter returns. Grandma shot her a look. Be nice, Kennedy. I am being nice. I'm just surprised she's gracing us with her presence after almost 2 years. I stood up. You know what? This was a mistake. Sit down, both of you, Grandma commanded. We sat. Kennedy, you're jealous. Monty, you're stubborn. Both of you need to grow up. Kennedy's face flushed. Jealous? Of her? Yes, jealous. Because she's doing what she loves and you're miserable at that fancy job. The air left the room. Kennedy's mouth opened and closed like a fish. I'm not miserable. I just made VP, and you take pills to sleep and drink to forget. Grandma's voice was gentle but firm. I may be old, baby, but I'm not blind. Kennedy's eyes filled with tears. She grabbed her purse and left without a word. The front door slammed. I sat there stunned. After Kennedy's dramatic exit, Mom brought out dessert, pretending everything was normal. But I saw her hands shaking as she cut the sweet potato pie. I stayed my promised 2 hours, mostly sitting with Grandma, then headed for the door. Imani, wait. I turned. Mom was standing in the foyer, wringing her hands. Can we talk? Just for a minute. Every instinct screamed to leave. But something in her face stopped me. 5 minutes. We sat in the formal living room, the one we were never allowed in as kids unless we had company. Your father. She started, then stopped. Started again. Your father has always been hard. His father was harder. He thinks love is pushing people to be successful by his definition. That's not an excuse, Mom. I know. I'm not making excuses. I'm trying to explain. She twisted her wedding ring. When you left that Easter, I wanted to run after you. But I've spent 30 years not contradicting your father in public. That's sad, Mom. I know, she whispered. I know it is. She looked up at me and I saw something I'd never seen before. Regret. Real deep regret. I'm proud of you. I should have said it 2 years ago. I should have said it every day since. But I'm saying it now. I'm proud of you, Imani. My throat tightened. If you're proud, why didn't you defend me? Because I'm a coward. Simple. Honest. Devastating. We sat in silence for a moment. Then she said something that changed everything. Your father's firm is struggling. The partners are pushing him out. He's terrified of looking like a failure, so he projects that fear onto everyone around him. I processed this. Milton Green, the great corporate attorney, failing? When did this start? About 3 months before that Easter. He was already spiraling. It didn't excuse anything, but it explained things. I need to go, Mom. She nodded, walking me to the door. Merry Christmas, sweetheart. Merry Christmas, Mom. January 2020. I spent the holidays refining my franchise model with a business attorney. We created training manuals, operational systems, marketing packages. By March, I had 3 interested franchisees, Chicago, Houston, and Charlotte. Then COVID hit and the world stopped. I thought we were finished. Who needs commercial cleaning when offices are empty? I was wrong. Dead wrong. Imani, we need to talk. Shanice called me on March 23rd, panic in her voice. All our clients are calling. They want enhanced sanitization, deep cleans, electrostatic sprayers. They're asking if we can do daily disinfection. I sat up straight. Daily. Every single client. They're freaking out about the virus. This was it. The pivot moment every entrepreneur dreams of and fears. I had $87,000 in the business account. I could play it safe or I could bet everything. I called every employee. I need you to trust me. I'm buying electrostatic sprayers, hospital-grade disinfectant and protective equipment. We're becoming a COVID response cleaning service. Within 2 weeks, we'd retrained everyone. Within a month, we had 12 new contracts. By June 2020, our monthly revenue hit $340,000. The phone wouldn't stop ringing. Schools wanted us. Medical offices wanted us. Grocery stores wanted us. Shanice walked into my office. We'd moved to a bigger space in April, with a bottle of champagne. Girl, guess what? What? We just hit 10 million in annual revenue projection. I stared at her. 10 million. 10 million dollars. I laughed, then cried, then laughed again. We were doing it. Actually doing it. My phone buzzed. Kennedy, heard you're doing COVID cleaning. Congrats. Goldman laid me off. Can we talk? I stared at the message for a long time, then put my phone face down on my desk. Not yet. I wasn't ready yet. Kennedy called 12 times over the next month. I ignored every call. Then on August 15, 2020, she showed up at my office. My receptionist, yes, I had a receptionist now, buzzed me. Imani? Your sister is here. I closed my laptop slowly. Send her in. Kennedy walked in wearing jeans and a t-shirt. No makeup. Hair in a messy bun. This wasn't the Kennedy I knew. Nice office, she said, looking around. Thanks. What do you want? I need a job. 4 words. 4 words that felt like vindication and tragedy wrapped together. You're kidding. Do I look like I'm kidding? She sat down without being invited. Goldman laid off 40% of staff in May. I've been applying everywhere. No one's hiring. My savings are running out. I'm 3 months behind on my condo payments. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I felt hollow. What about Mom and Dad? Can't they help? Dad's firm dissolved in June. The partners forced him out. Took his name off everything. He's living off retirement savings. Mom's selling jewelry to cover bills. The green empire was crumbling. Everything I'd been shut out of, everything I wasn't good enough for, was falling apart. I'm sorry, I said. And I meant it. Are you? Kennedy's eyes flashed. Because you have every right to laugh in my face right now. I don't want to laugh, Kennedy. I'm just processing. Process this. I was wrong. About everything. About you, about your business, about what success looks like. I spent 6 years climbing a ladder that was leaning against the wrong building. She wiped her eyes roughly. I don't expect you to hire me. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted to say that. You were right. I was wrong. And I'm sorry. The words I'd waited 2 years to hear. But they felt different than I'd imagined. Less triumphant. More sad. What position are you applying for? I'll clean toilets if that's what you have. I have an opening in business development. $45,000 to start. Prove yourself and we'll talk about more. Kennedy's head snapped up. Are you serious? Dead serious. But Kennedy, if you ever treat my staff the way you treated me, you're fired. No second chances. Deal. We shook hands. And maybe, just maybe, something started to heal. Kennedy started in September 2020. He was good, really good. Whatever Harvard taught her about deal structure and negotiation translated perfectly to franchise sales. By December, she'd helped close 5 new franchisees. We were on track to hit $25 million in revenue by end of year. On December 18th, my phone rang. I'd been expecting this call for months. Ever since Kennedy told me about his firm collapsing. My finger hovered over decline. Then I answered. Hello. Imani. His voice was different. Smaller somehow. It's your father. I know. Silence. Then, can we meet? Just you and me. Why? Because I owe you a conversation. We met at a coffee shop in Midtown. Neutral territory. He was sitting at a corner table when I arrived and I almost didn't recognize him. He'd aged a decade in 2 years. Gray hair, thinner face, cheap suit. The mighty Milton Green looked mortal. "Thank you for coming," he said as I sat down. "I almost didn't. I wouldn't have blamed you." He wrapped his hands around his coffee cup. "I've been thinking about what to say for months. How to explain. How to apologize. I rehearsed whole speeches. And now that you're here, all I can say is, I was wrong. Completely, devastatingly wrong." I waited. He continued, "When my firm started failing, when the partners started pushing me out, I felt like I was drowning. Everything I built, everything I used to measure my worth, was disappearing. And instead of dealing with that, I took it out on you. On Easter, I saw you making a choice I was terrified to make, starting over, taking risks, and it enraged me. Because you were brave enough to do what I never could. That doesn't make what you said okay. Nothing makes it okay, Imani. Nothing. You're not my biggest disappointment. You never were. I'm my biggest disappointment. I built a life on other people's definitions of success, and when it crumbled, I had nothing left. No identity. No purpose. You built something real. Something that matters. Something that survived a pandemic while my 30-year career collapsed in 3 months. By March 2021, EcoClean Solutions had 37 franchises across 18 states. Revenue hit $43 million. We'd been featured in Forbes, Black Enterprise, and Entrepreneur magazine. I was invited to speak at South by Southwest about pivoting during COVID. On April 15, 2021, 3 years to the day after that Easter, something extraordinary happened. My HR director walked into my office with a peculiar expression. "Imani, we just received an application I think you need to see." I took the paper. Read the name. Laughed so hard I nearly fell out of my chair. Diane Green. Position: Administrative Assistant. My mother had applied to work for me. I called her immediately. "Mom." "Oh, Imani. Did you get my application?" I wasn't sure if I should apply directly or, "Why are you applying to work here?" Silence. Then, "Because I need a job. Because I want to understand what you built. Because I want to finally support you the way I should have 3 years ago." "What about Dad?" "Your father and I are separating. Not divorcing, just separating. He's moving in with his brother in Florida to figure himself out. I'm staying in Atlanta and I need to support myself. I never worked outside the home, Imani. I don't have skills like you and Kennedy. But I can answer phones and organize files, and I promise I'll work harder than anyone." "Mom." "Stop. I'm sorry, I know it's presumptuous, Mom." "Sup?" "You're hired." "What?" "You're hired. 30,000 to start. Administrative support. You'll help coordinate franchise communications." He was crying. I could hear it. "Thank you. Thank you, sweetheart. There's one condition." "Anything. You tell me the truth from now on. Always. No more protecting Dad's ego or keeping peace. The truth." "I promise." She started 2 weeks later. It was weird at first. My mother sitting at a desk outside my office taking calls, organizing files. But she was good at it. Meticulous. Dedicated. And slowly we started rebuilding something that resembled a mother-daughter relationship. One where we were honest about the dysfunction we'd survived. Kennedy walked by one day, stopped, stared. "Is Mom working here now?" "Yeah." "This family is so weird." "Yeah." We both laughed. Maybe that was healing too. April 2023. 5 years after Easter. EcoClean Solutions hit $90 million in annual revenue. 63 franchises. 240 corporate contracts. I'd been named one of Fortune's 40 under 40. I was sitting in my corner office. An actual corner office in a building I partially owned, when my assistant buzzed me. Imani, you have a visitor. He doesn't have an appointment, but he says he's your father. I took a breath. Dad and I had spoken occasionally over the past 2 years. Stiff conversations. Careful. But he'd never visited my office. Send him in. He walked in slowly, looking around with an expression I couldn't quite read. Pride? Regret? Both. This is impressive, he said finally. Thank you. We sat in awkward silence. Then he pulled out an envelope. What's this? A letter I wrote 5 years ago. Right after that Easter. I never sent it. Why are you giving it to me now? Because you deserve to know that even then part of me knew I was wrong. I opened it. The letter was dated April 10, 2018. 6 days after Easter. Dear Imani, I'm writing this at 3 a.m. because I can't sleep. What I said at Easter was unforgivable. You're not a disappointment. You've never been a disappointment. I'm terrified of my own failures and I projected that terror onto you. You have a vision, a drive, a courage I lost decades ago. I don't know if your cleaning business will succeed, but I know you will. Because you're stronger than I ever was. I'm sorry. I love you. I'm proud of you. Even if I'm too proud to say it out loud. Dad. Tears blurred my vision. Why didn't you send this? Because I was a coward. Because saying I was wrong felt like admitting defeat. Because I'm a stubborn old man who confused fear with strength. He stood up. I don't expect forgiveness, Imani. I don't deserve it. But I need you to know. Watching you build this, watching you succeed despite everything I said, despite everything I put you through. You're the bravest person I know. We stood there, father and daughter, separated by 5 years of pain and pride. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I walked around my desk and hugged him. He hugged back and I felt him shaking. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry. I know, Dad. I know. That night I stood on my apartment balcony, a penthouse now in Midtown, and looked out at Atlanta's skyline. I thought about that Easter 5 years ago. About being called a disappointment. About leaving with nothing but hurt and determination. I'd built a $90 million company. Employed over 300 people. Changed lives. Proved everyone wrong. But the real victory wasn't the money or the success. It was choosing forgiveness over bitterness. Growth over revenge. Connection over vindication. I pulled out my phone and texted Kennedy, "Family dinner this Sunday? My place." She responded immediately, "Wouldn't miss it. I'll bring wine." "Mom, I'll make sweet potato pie." "Dad, what can I bring?" "Me, just bring yourself, Dad. That's enough." And somehow, impossibly, it was.